Do you ever feel that there are good emotions and bad emotions in life, and that you try and avoid the bad ones? So like when you feel anxious or sad or lonely, you feel that you hate these emotions and you do anything to just be happy again. Society has a way of demonizing these emotions, so we tend to view emotions collectively in society as good and bad. So obviously happy, content, excited, in love are good emotions, and whereas depressed, sad, anxious, scared, angry, they're bad emotions. And we tend to do anything we can to avoid these emotions. So it could be in really destructive ways, like people turn to drinking and drugs and alcohol and food to suppress these emotions. But the thing is, emotions aren't inherently bad. There are no good and bad emotions. We've just started to term these as good and bad. I've always been somebody who feels things very strongly. So I've learned with time that the more you suppress emotions, the more you try and quiet them down, the bigger they actually get. So what actually helps is to let yourself feel them. And I know that sounds scary, that sounds almost counterintuitive, but there's an adage that what you resist persists. And the more you resist these emotions, the more that they're going to push back against you. And it is wisdom in a lot of different modalities of therapy, including ACT therapy, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, which I found to be the most effective for me, for my emotions, is to let yourself feel them. So it sounds scary, but instead of running away from them or pushing them away and you numb them for a bit, you zone out, you watch TV, but then they'll come back stronger. Instead, if you let yourself experience them in all their strength, eventually, like a crescent wave, it peaks, and then it lowers and goes eventually. Emotions become a problem when you start to think that they mean that there's something wrong with you. But the human experience is to have emotions. In the past, if you got scared, for example, your body went into fight or flight mode, so you could run away from the tiger. Obviously nowadays, these emotions, they're in very old parts of the brain, so they might not be as adaptive as they once were, but we still need them, and we still cannot go through life without experiencing them. One visual that has helped me a lot, and this comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, is to think of emotions like the weather outside. So the weather is the weather, regardless of whether or not you like it. But you don't try and control the weather. You adapt, or you just sit with it, you just live with it. So if it's raining outside or it's thundering, you can't expect to go from the rest of your life with no rain ever again. My dad thinks that there is such a thing and he gets angry each time it rains, but really, it will rain again. You will feel sad again, but you just make do. You just sit with it, you just accept it, and then eventually you know the rain's gonna stop. Similarly, it's like being sick. You can't expect to go through your life never being sick again. So when you get sick, you adapt, you take it easy. Similarly with emotions, you just sit with them, you know that they're going to end, and eventually they will. The key is to be not so afraid of emotions. There's a beautiful poem by Rumi that says that imagine it like a house, and then the emotions come in, they're unwanted visitors, unwelcome guests sometimes, but they just come in and out, and you host them, and then you expect them to leave eventually. Another visual that has helped me a lot is to imagine emotions like a radio. Sometimes you're listening to the radio and a song comes on that you don't particularly like. Just sit through it for 3 minutes and it will eventually go. And you learn to, just get on with your life. And, you don't have to get angry and have an emotion on top of the emotion, what Susan David calls a secondary emotion, to be angry that the song is there. It's there. You just sit with it and let it be. Another one is to make friends with the emotion. Sounds a bit weird, but to say like, oh, it's you again. Hello, anger. How long are you going to sit here for? Make a joke out of it. Okay, are we going to be here for 10 minutes? Like, how much longer do I have to put up with you? Knowing that eventually it will get bored and go bother someone else. Another thing you could do is visualize it leaving you. So you could visualize it like a wave, and you can visualize it peaking and cresting and then going down. So you can visualize the actual experience of building up and watching it go. But the most important thing is not to judge yourself, not to wallow. Just about creating space, knowing that you have these emotions because you are human and you can't not. You don't have to judge the emotion. You don't have to analyze it. When the tiger comes and bites you, you don't go and analyze why the tiger bit you. The tiger bit you. It's a tiger. You're a human. You're going to get emotions. You sit with it and eventually they will go. So if you can take anything away from this, just remember, emotions are not your enemy. They're like waves. They come, they go. Next time you feel sadness or anxiety, just set a timer for 2 minutes, close your eyes, and just feel it without judgment. Feel it. 2 minutes. That's it. You might be surprised at how much lighter you feel afterwards and how you could actually cope better than you thought you would and how it wasn't that bad. And trust me, it will come again. It's part of being human. Thank you for watching, and if this resonated with you or helped you in any way, I would love to expand on it in other videos, because emotions is something I've struggled with so much, and I talk about these things from the point of theoretical understanding, but when it comes to actually experiencing the emotions, I feel them so strongly. Thank you for watching.